Yeah.
Pre-show convo.
Laura, we were recording that, right?
Which part?
The beginning.
I got everything from Fruity Pebbles.
Hey.
Not the very beginning.
Welcome back to All In with Rick Jordan. I am your host, Rick Jordan, and I love my own show because I have such amazing guests on my show. And today is Markie Williams.
Hello.
Hello. What's shaking?
Not a whole lot. I'm just excited to be here, and very happy to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to have you here. Tell everyone what you do, who you are. I prefer the who you are rather than what you do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so many people blend those together.
And they're different. I'm like, I can tell you what I do, what, money maker, whatever. But who I am is an athlete, bikini athlete. I do competitive bodybuilding. I am a human rights advocate, I would call myself.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a lot of things that go along with that. But yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's who Markie is.
That's a great nutshell.
Yeah.
Yes. Where does all that come from? Is that, how did you say this is who I am?
Gosh, it's it's actually pretty recent part of my life, like just within the past 4 years that I've created this identity for myself. If you'd asked me before who I was, I would have been like, what? So it's, I describe myself based on the life I've made for myself and what I do today and the things that I'm passionate about. And it's constantly evolving. I mean, it's a great place. I feel like I'm not to sound cliche, but I'm living my best life.
Hey.
Thank you, Cardi B.
Just don't break into some mumble rap.
No,
I won't do
that.
The rest of the show.
No. Like, can we cut that out? I'm very passionate about my life and very excited, and I get overwhelmed and I get, stressed out. But for the most part, I'm living my best life, and it just gets better and better because I continue to meet amazing people and have opportunities like this to be on your podcast today.
Yeah,
so
that is fantastic.
Yeah.
And what's awesome about things being fantastic is there was a point to where things were not so fantastic. Can we go deep a little and dive into that? Yeah, because that's you hit on something super key that I love grabbing onto, because you said that you just sort of like figured it out in the past couple of years, right?
Yeah.
And it's taken that long in your life, not that we're old, but taken many years to get to that point.
Yeah.
And even coming out of high school, you hear a lot about, well, what do I do with my life? And that's a big question when you're a senior in high school, right? You're supposed to have it all figured out, but you don't for years after that. So we have fantastic now, fantastic Markie.
Yes.
Tell me about not so fantastic Markie from years ago.
Yeah, well, gosh. So not so fantastic Markie. It was kind of this, if I would picture it visually, it was kind of like a, life just, kind of moving along, wasn't great, wasn't terrible. And then I hit a really terrible point in my life. And then, came back up, and it was up to me. And so...
Wait, say that again. It was up to who?
It was up to me.
Right on.
Yeah. So what... I don't know how far back to go, but I guess I could go back to like when I came out to Seattle. So I'm from Ohio. And I had graduated from the University of Akron, had a bachelor's degree in music.
Awesome.
Classical guitar and a voice were kind of my focus. Didn't finish my dance minor, but I had plans to dance professionally, and I'd done a couple intensive dance studies in Spain during my undergrad. I was trying to get back over to Spain on a Fulbright grant. It didn't quite work out. I just joke and say, I went the wrong way and ended up in Seattle, but that's not quite what happened. I was trying to get to Spain. Didn't get the grant I applied for. I hadn't applied to grad school. I was just kind of like, what do I do with my life right now? Because I have this degree in music, and actually I don't want to do that. And I want to focus on dance. And then I didn't get this opportunity that, what do I do? I don't have like any real like technical job skills, and I don't want to teach. So it's kind of a feeling of being a little bit lost just right there, not sure what to do. Because as you said, it's like you high school and college, you go and you study and you're supposed to know what you're going to do with the rest of your life.
Yep.
And I didn't feel like that. And I was like, I just spent 5 years working on something and I have a piece of paper and college debt and I don't know what to do. But I did know I did not want to stay in Ohio. I didn't want to stay in a small town.
Does anybody? Not that I have anything against Ohio.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm kind of circling back to like eventually I want to be kind of out in the country, out in the rural area.
Of course, that's the beauty of it, right?
That's the beauty of it. But when you come from that and you're in a small town, you're just like, God, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to Pittsburgh, which was the nearest big city. It was just kind of too close to home. So I had an older brother out here. We're not super close, but I thought, he's out here in Seattle doing his thing. So I'm gonna come out here. I'm gonna give it a shot and just see what happens. So I did. Just packed up a couple suitcases, flew out here, got an apartment, got a job as a personal executive assistant, and just, was starting my new life out here.
First off, shout out to personal executive assistants because I have an awesome one. And if you were doing that, you made someone's life extremely more smooth sailing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful profession.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's unique. It's something I hadn't actually even thought of until, again, coming out to a big city. There are more opportunities. And it was one of those jobs where I'm like, oh, this exists. And, I don't have to have a special degree in anything for this. So it just worked out. So I got the job. So life, I was just kind of still floating along. And it was tough because I just moved out here. I was working a ton. Wasn't really making friends or had time to go out and meet anybody. I was just exhausted when I wasn't working. And so it's kind of this weird feeling of excitement because I was in a new city and in a job, and I didn't really know what I was going to do with my future, but I knew it was going to be great. I knew it was going to succeed, whatever it is, kind of figured out. But then also at the same time feeling a little bit, kind of lost and just like, what am I doing? What am I waiting for?
You're reflecting is a lot, looking back and saying, what have I done in my life so far?
Yeah.
And has anything I've done so far count towards anything at all? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was that the lowest of your lows?
No, not at all. No, it was really just kind of if I look back at that exact moment before I got into the lowest of my low point, it was just sort of a stagnant kind of loss, not a bad place. And I wasn't a bad person. I wasn't a selfish person, but I wasn't also a very giving person. And, my future was concerned all about me. What do I want to do? What am I going to do? When am I going to be successful? When am I going to have money? When am I, and it wasn't really, didn't really have a whole lot of awareness for anybody else's problems, or if I had sort of any kind of responsibility or reason to care about anybody else. So at that time, I wasn't out there meeting people, and I thought, well, I want to date. I kind of want to start that chapter of my life because sort of avoided that in college because I just wanted to focus on my studies and, going to have a career and
in music.
Yeah. And then that changed when I graduated. I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. So online dating was kind of just coming in. It was a thing. And so, I was trying to meet people online. Ended up meeting somebody who initially there was a lot of attraction to, spark kind of right off the bat. It evolved quickly into a relationship. And little did I know that was going to be the beginning of years of the destruction of who I was.
Wow.
Until I reached my rock bottom breaking point. And that whole experience and everything that I went through was really, it got me to that like make or break it, you know, and fortunately I made it. And that's why I'm here today and doing all the amazing things that I get the privilege of doing.
For sure. So you got to this make it or break it point, and this is really the turning point. You know, and everyone has these moments in their lives too.
Yeah,
I don't believe that everyone has had it just completely easy and has never had any adversity in their life whatsoever.
Yeah.
Everyone has something to some degree.
Yeah.
Some of us, like you and I, have had a lot of really, really low lows that we've had to climb our way back even higher just to catch up with everybody.
Yeah.
But there's a point in that low to where it's like, okay, make it or break it. And what made your decision? You said earlier, like it all depended on you.
Yeah, it absolutely did. So I guess I could kind of give you more of the story before that make it or break it point.
Take us
just
in. You've got me sucked in so far.
Yeah. So the relationship that I found myself in, I didn't know it at the time, but it was emotionally and verbally abusive. And there was a very, very systematic process that I was put through of manipulation and brainwashing and isolation. So that, but by the time I started experiencing physical violence and physical abuse, there was nobody for me to turn to. All my resources had been taken away from me, financial, everything. So I found myself with this person in a city, no family, no friends, and I was really trapped. And it became just a living hell. I mean, I won't even go into all the details of just the daily abuse, the violence, the attacks. It led into a situation where I was trafficked for a couple years. And so it got to a point where I remember, especially the last year, just really feeling like my life didn't matter. And
well, the circle you were in, it didn't matter to them.
It didn't. No, it definitely didn't. It was even more of a lost feeling than when I moved out there, because when I moved out to Seattle, I was filled with hope. And, you know, I don't know where exactly my life is going to take me, but it's going to be amazing. Yeah. And then 4 years later, to be in that situation where I was and having been in that place for years, it just like there was no hope. There was no bright future. There was no, you know, well, we're going to work this out and then things are going to be, you know, no. It was a point where I want to say I'd given up, but I hadn't quite completely given up, or I wouldn't be here. But it was very, very close to that.
Yeah.
And there were times where, you know, during abuse or violence where I was just like, I hope he actually kills me this time, because I won't have to deal with this anymore.
That's an easier escape sometimes, isn't it? Than having to try to fight your way out.
Yeah, because they're really not having any resources. It was just like there was no way out from what I could see at the time. And when I think back, I think I remember kind of, I'm a very faith-based person, and I remember
likewise
at that time. Yeah, I remember at the time just kind of wondering, and like, what did I do wrong? Like, why am I here?
Yes.
Like, am I being punished or?
Absolutely. And you're hitting on a key point there too, because that's almost some conditioning that we've probably had being faith-based ourselves. Yes. Because I've had the same reflection points, you know, and sometimes even encouraged to think that way. And how I grew up, you know, whenever something wrong goes in your life, you know, you start to feel that way. What did I do wrong? Yeah. You know, where did I mess up? Mm-hmm. And this is hope for everyone who's listening too, is most of the time it's not you that has done anything. Yeah. You know, there's bad people out there. There are bad things in this world. Mm-hmm. And there's an opportunity in that to be a light, to be a beacon that can break through all of that bad, all of that darkness.
Yeah,
There's nothing that you did to be put in that situation, but there is a purpose for it.
There is.
There is absolutely. Every time you're in that bad spot, there is a reason for it, especially if you're that light. And you're meant to be there just so you can shine brighter, because lights are very much brighter when they're in complete darkness, aren't they? Yeah, and I love that. So you do have me sucked into your story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, you're at this low point.
Yes. And you put it beautifully that it's, it's not your fault. You're not put in that. I wasn't being punished. God wasn't putting me in this horrible, abusive situation.
It's not who God
to
is.
Punish me. No. But I do remember at the time just kind of asking, like, what did I do wrong? Like, is this it? Is this how I'm supposed to die? Like, this was my life? What, like, what was the point of this, God? But I remember also feeling like, hearing like, this isn't it, but I wasn't really seeing a way out. I wasn't seeing anybody, nobody was coming to rescue me. I was just here. Nobody knew what was happening. My family doesn't know. They're thousands of miles away. I've been isolated, cut off from communicating from them. They think all these things about me because of, just a lot of things I was coerced in doing and saying. And so nobody actually knows what's going on here. So nobody's going to come rescue me. And I finally realized that this was something that, if I'm going to get out of it, I'm going to have to take that first step. I'm going to have to do something. And I was still kind of not really sure what that was going to look like or what it was going to be. And I remember when I first went to see a domestic violence advocate, a legal advocate, kind of telling her what was going on and just thinking like, I don't even know if I should be here. She's going to just send me away. Like, go work this out. You're just overreacting or something. I mean, crazy stuff. I was so brainwashed at that time. I was just kind of like, I know I need to take a step to do something. I don't even know if this is the right thing to do.
That's always the case though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it is just making the decision and taking that step.
Yeah.
It pains me and it really saddens my heart when I was like, I wish that I could change something about my situation, but I don't know how. And it's okay to not know how.
It's okay to not know how.
It's just okay. Well, it's just don't stay in that situation. Make the decision to say, I am done with this. And I don't know if that was what you were thinking, but even though you don't know how, you still want to make the change. So you just start down that path, and then what needs to happen will present itself. Yeah.
I think you're exactly right, because it wasn't, at that time, it wasn't a clear like, well, I'm going to go meet this advocate and we're going to form an escape plan, and then we're going to go from A, B to C, and I'm going to get, I had no idea. And I know what kind of resources are available now, but at the time, like I said, I didn't even know what exactly I was doing or what I needed to do. I just felt like I was at a point where it was just a red level. Like, there's this voice screaming inside me, or God telling me, like, you're not going to be alive for very much longer if you don't do something. And
you already answered my question I was going to ask, is what was going through your head when you decided, I'm done with this? I'm escaping at this point. And that was it. That
was it. And like I said, I wasn't even sure what the plan was. I wasn't even sure, am I escaping? Is she going to tell me I'm crazy? So I met with this advocate, and I remember her asking me a series of questions. Has your partner ever made you feel unsafe? Have they ever threatened violence? Have they ever been violent? If they would kill you, how would they do it? Questions that you shouldn't know the answer to. But I knew all of the answers. And at the end, she said, okay, I asked you these questions because they help determine what your level of danger is in this situation, in this domestic violence relationship, which was still weird for me to kind of like wrap my mind around domestic
Sounds like
violence
you would have
relationship.
aced that test.
Yeah,
in a bad way.
Yeah. So, and she said, based on your answers and national statistics, she said, he's going to kill you. She said it might be accidental. It might be intentional.
Yeah. But
you're not going to make it out of this alive. Like and I'm not going to tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to do. But if you want to leave and if you want help, I'm here.
Can we pause there just for 1 sec? Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of commonalities in how we're very much faith-based in what we do. Mm-hmm. And even that phrase is crazy, but we have a higher source that we lean on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And what you just said is probably the most perfect advice that anyone could ever give, because she did not really give you advice. Mm-hmm. She didn't say, do this.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. So I would encourage anyone who is in your situation or a situation like this, or even just in a rough spot and you're seeking help, to find somebody who's going to be that way. Just say, here is the straight truth. If you are just going to continue in your situation, I am here to help you escape that. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you what to do, because it's almost as if they're leaning on you to say, you need to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you every step of the way. It's like a butterfly coming out of the cocoon, right? And the only way that you can come out of that cocoon as a butterfly and survive is if you do it on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everything around in nature is given to you to be able to that butterfly or that caterpillar forming into a butterfly coming out of the cocoon, to be able to do that and come out even stronger.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love counselors like that. I love therapists like that to say, I am just here to help. Mm-hmm. So even when I've counseled in years past, it's just, I started out with, I'm never going to tell you what to do, because you're going to do what you're going to do regardless of what I say. Mm-hmm. Let me just tell you what I see. Let me just give you a little perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
And that sounds like what this woman did. It was a woman, right?
Yes.
Amazing. Saying, based on statistics, this is what's coming your way. Yeah. And that was just the straight truth to you.
It was absolutely the straight truth. And I remember coming out of that appointment feeling a little in denial. Yeah. A lot in denial. I thought, okay, that's not what I wanted to hear. And deep down, I think I recognized it, and I knew that it was not a good situation, and I knew there was something wrong. That's what prompted me to go there. But to actually hear those words, and I didn't want to believe it suddenly. I was just, no. I'm gonna think about this some more. Yeah. So even then, it wasn't a clear-cut answer to me. A couple weeks later, another violent incident. My life is threatened again, and that kind of clicked for me. I was like, okay, wow, she's right, and I do need help. I don't know what to do though. So I went back to see her again. And I said, okay, you said you would help me. I'm ready to do this. Help me figure out what I need to do. So she helped me put together a plan, how to get out of that situation. I was able to get out safely.
Yay.
And yay, exactly. But you know what? This is the point where I would say I was actually at my rock bottom. So it wasn't even in that abusive relationship of close to 4 years. That was not my rock bottom. It was after I got out. I was safe.
That's powerful.
I was a survivor. That was actually where I felt my rock bottom, because I suddenly was in full control of my life again. Yay. But I still had no friends, no family, no finances, no resources other than a few, things that I got from the advocacy group. And so worse than that, I just didn't have any hope or belief in myself or sense of direction. So it's kind of like, okay, so I just had someone destroy my life. And what do I do now? And should I even do anything? And again, that's where I feel like my faith came into play because, I realized I have been sort of missing for years. And it doesn't feel like anybody really noticed. And not that anybody knew what was going on. So this is not to blame anybody, but I just realized, I said, this all happened and nobody knows. And I don't even know how I would start telling people that I need help.
Yeah.
And I kind of just felt like, I had went missing. I had disappeared for years. And I could completely disappear off this planet. And I'm like, is anybody even going to know? And what do I actually have to live for right now? Because all I can look at is everything in my life that's been destroyed. I don't even know who I am right now. What is my purpose in life? Like, why did all this happen? And what in the heck am I supposed to do now? And do I even need to be here?
Your question, what do I have to live for?
Yeah, what do I have to live for?
What did you find an answer to that question?
I think my answer really came from my faith in that, it's not my decision to when my life starts or ends. And so as long as I'm here, I have to keep trying. Mm-hmm. But I need to feel better, and I need to feel better right now because, I can't stay in this place where I'm at mentally and emotionally. Yeah. And the first thing I thought of was working out. Exercise is supposed to make you feel better. And
so they say.
So they say.
It does.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. And so,
yes.
So I started working out. I had gotten into stable housing. I'd gotten a job. I was making some money. I was able to go to the gym. I started CrossFit. So these positive things started happening in my life. And it was through that I randomly thought of bodybuilding. And again, this is where I say, I'm like, it was so random. I feel like God put the idea in my head or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not so random.
Because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything about the sport.
Yeah.
I didn't know any coaches. I didn't know any trainers. I didn't know any competitors. I knew nothing about this sport. But I knew people in my CrossFit gym were doing CrossFit competitions, and I didn't feel like I fit into that. So I thought, what else could I do? And bodybuilding came to mind. And I don't even know where this idea came from. But I started looking into it. I found a show a few months away in my area, registered for the show, started doing all my own training and competition prep. Took 4th place in my very first competition that I completely prepped for by myself, which is almost unheard of.
Yeah.
And it just turned into a completely new life for me. And I continue to compete. I've been doing it about 4 years now.
Yeah, yeah.
And from that, I've made a ton of friends and connections within the industry. Outside of the industry, I've tried to be very active in nonprofits that work with domestic violence victims, work with human trafficking victims. So it's looking back at my rock bottom point, I never, ever imagined any of this today, anything that would have existed.
Oh, sure. When you started working out regularly, were you obese at the time?
No.
I think that's so key. I didn't know the answer, but I kind of could guess at the answer that you weren't.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be the reason why so many want to work out is to lose weight, which is the wrong kind of decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
No.
What would you say it was about just working out? I'm curious on your perspective that put you on the path that you feel to where you are today.
Yeah. Yeah. So really, like I say, the motivation for me working out was just like, I need to feel good. I need to start feeling better. And I think exercise is an excellent place to start for that, and fitness, because it requires discipline. It requires a routine. It requires stability.
Yep. Yeah.
It requires consistency, dedication. And that really, really helped me mentally and emotionally, not just physically, but just developing all those habits. Really was, I think, a critical step in the turning point for me there.
Oh, I love it. You're speaking my language now at this point. Because I was fat and I did drop a lot of weight with that. But it wasn't losing weight. It wasn't even my goal or my decision. It's everything that you're saying right now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm loving this, because it's the discipline, the consistency.
Yes.
And that's what a lot are missing from their lives. You don't have to be obese to have to work out or want to make that decision, because it's a life change decision.
It is. Yeah.
And this is you've described probably one of the biggest life changes that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
The biggest transformations. Oh my God, I'm loving it. And but that consistency, that discipline is what starts you on that path.
It does, yeah. Yeah.
And you don't know what's coming next, and you stumbled. You're saying random. Of course, we know it's not so random, but randomly bodybuilding came out of it, and now you're this amazing rock star bodybuilder that has a following that a lot of people are inspired by you because of your story. Going back to that question, what do I have to live for? Yeah. You have to live for everybody else that's looking at you right now and saying, I can relate to even just a small piece of that story.
Yeah. And that's really what, once I started my first year in the first competitions, and I kind of started vlogging and sharing what I was doing, and I didn't think anyone would care. Yeah. And it turned out a lot of people started tuning in. And so I said to myself from the beginning, I said, this is not all about you. Bodybuilding can be a very narcissistic, self-centered sport. But I said, this is how you're going to give back. The point here is that you got a second chance, and you've had to put in the work. You are the one who got you here, but don't forget where you came from. And if you're going to do this and accept all the winning and the competition glory or whatever have you, don't let that be the reason that this starts and ends. There are other people who've gone through what you've gone through, or similar or worse. And as much as I wished at that time I had someone to look up to, I didn't. If I could be that for anybody else, and that's the purpose I can find for everything that I went through, and I can be okay with that. Absolutely. When you find out, because this is something that goes through my head too, when you find out that, wow, people are actually listening to what I have to say, does that drive you to try to do even better? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things too, where, I'll get messages sometimes on Instagram, or someone says, hey, I hate to bother you. I'm sure you get a lot of messages, but this is happening in my life, or I found your, I just wanted to talk. Is it okay if I ask you some questions or whatever? I'm like, yes, this is like, if I can, again, not giving you advice, not telling you what to do, but if I can give you hope and encouragement, and some inspiration, and maybe some guidance on what your options are to get yourself to a better place, that means everything to me that if I can help somebody who's going through that, because I'm like, I know what you're going through. I've been there. I know how you're feeling. And let me tell you, there's better, and you can get out and you can do better, and you can have a happy, fulfilling, amazing life.
I'm blown away.
Yeah.
I got to sit back and just take a breather or something. Oh my God. Wow. My guess, I always ask to leave one thing with our audience, with our listeners. You know, you might have even just said it, because as you were saying, I'm like, this is probably it. I don't know. But, but if there's one thing you can pull out of the show today that we've talked about, and you've done most of the talking, thank you, because you just floored me. And I really appreciate you being on here. What is one thing that you would want from our conversation today to everyone who's listening just to grab onto?
Oh gosh, it's hard to pick one thing, but if I could kind of wrap it up into one message, it would be, you know, don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever stop believing in yourself. You know, even if there's nobody around you to believe in you or to encourage you, know that your life matters. And even if, you know, bodybuilding, I had no experience. I wasn't an athlete through college or whatever. I just, you know, I needed to do something, and I found my thing. And I believed in myself, and I set a goal, and I accomplished it, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And so you can apply that idea to your life. You know, redefine your future. Don't be destroyed by the challenges and the obstacles that you've dealt with in your life. Take those as an opportunity to learn, to become stronger. And then if you were on the wrong path, or you weren't on the right path, like, keep going. You know, believe in yourself, redefine yourself, and figure out what it is you need to do to get to that next and better place. But it starts with you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You have a podcast too, right?
I do.
Yeah?
Yes.
Where can everyone find you? Find your podcast, find you on social media?
So my podcast is called Project Markie. And you can find me on social media at Markie Williams. That's Markie Williams. Instagram, Facebook. It's kind of my primary. And then markiewilliams.com.
Yes. Follow Markie, because she's amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on.
It was my pleasure. I'm so glad I got to be here.
Yes.
Thank you, Rick.
See ya.